Oh, no. What will national radio programs talk about now? Aaron Judge has signed with the New York Yankees, 9 years, $360 million, and now like 42% of debate shows won't have anything to talk about. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, how is your life? I hope well. I am Rob Brown. Right across from me on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, of course, he is the great one, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. He is the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. Lonzo is here as well. What's up, Zoe?
What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Looking forward to a good day.
That's the type of enthusiasm you're only getting right here on the show, people.
I worked really hard on that intro.
Lonzo walked in the building. I said, hey, man, how's it going? Every day Lonzo walks in, I go, hello, Lonzo. And it's all, I can usually get a bead on how the day's going to go because you either get, hi, Rob, or you get, hey. And you get a pretty good read on how the day's going to go based on that response. Today, Lonzo's response to me was, I am riddled with arthritis. That's it. That was a start to the day.
I believe you said it wrong. It's arthritis.
That's it. So, we'll see what that means.
But that's nothing new. It's just been there forever. No, you guys, if you could walk a day in these shoes and walk into that office and see the opposite of what you get on the air. When Rob says hello, it's always quiet and creepy, and it's opposite of what he is, and I never know how to respond to that.
Well, that's because I have found out in my life, and this applies 90% of the time, the other 10%, of course, being when I go on the air, that if somebody walks into the room and I encounter them for the first time, and my first thing is to go, hey! Usually they don't like that.
I don't care.
That's true. That's fair.
That would be closer to normal than what you give me, which is okay. I have no read on the day. I'd rather be able to, because that's what it is. Your first words to someone when you see them in the morning, it's a read on the day. You're gonna know, okay, good mood, bad mood, pain, what's going on here, and it's usually genuine. It's not trying to act or fake out the other guy, but hey, Lonzo, that just I don't know what to do with that. And I think you do that on purpose.
Well, you said arthritis. My man Skrilla just popped in the chat. Skrilla said, morning, boyos. Dental issues this AM. Swollen face, but listening to you dudes. So, just a great day around the upstate, We got arthritis.
So dental issues has nothing to do with get punched in the face, right? Because that would give you dental issues. I mean, because, I've been punched in the face and it gave me some dental issues.
I haven't, and I intend to keep it that
I'm
way.
not saying you deserve it because you probably don't.
No, Skrill's a good dude.
Yeah. No one. Well, there are a couple people who deserve to be punched in the face. Some in this building.
Correct. Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million. Texture says, Rob, that's a lot of money to get swept by the Astros every year.
Yeah, but he's like, if you don't know baseball, like me, I know him. I know who he is. That's an imposing figure.
6'6", I think. 6'7"?
Yeah, that's a dude where you go, he don't play baseball. That's a football player.
Correct. He's 6'7".
And he's not a pudgy lineman looking,
6'7",
designated hitter or something.
282.
Yeah, and it doesn't look. I mean, it looks slim on him.
Listen, this may come to a shock to some of you, but I've never pitched at the major league level, right? I pitched a little back in, high school. And I will tell you this.
I saw you pitch in the minor leagues.
You did. I did. I've thrown 2 minor league pitches, both strikes, by the way.
They look good.
I'll put it this way. Like, even, regardless of the level you're at, when your talent is within that realm, there are some dudes that they step to the dish and you just looked at them like, this is not in my best interest. Aaron Judge, 6'7", 282. It's a big strike zone, but he can cover every part of it. The dude's just good. I will say this. I kind of found him interesting that he got to the milestone and then just kind of disappeared. towards the end of the season. But homie got the bag, didn't he? My dude got the bag. He'll stay a Yankee. He was deciding between the Padres, Giants, and Yankees, and he was in San Diego. He was actually in Tampa Monday, and there was a lot of discussion. They're like, are the Rays in this? Are the Tampa Bay Rays in this? And then he showed up at the Monday night game. No, he just wanted to go watch Tom Brady play. He just wanted to see the GOAT in action. So then he flew to San Diego on Tuesday, spent Tuesday in San Diego having a discussion with the Padres and the G-men, and then the Yankees were like, we should probably work on that. We should probably do something about that. So they upped from about a $300 million to a $360 million deal for 9 years. And a judge went ahead and signed on with that. 9 years is kind of shocking, though. 9 years is kind of ridiculous. Like, there are very few baseball players that are going to stick around for 9 years at the level of productivity that you would want to pay somebody $360 for it. There are
it's happened
few.
Before, though, hasn't it?
Yes. But again, it's exceptionally rare, and I don't think you expect it from 6'7", 287, right? Like, I don't think you expect 6'7", 287 to be prowling the outfield for quite that long. Aaron Judge is, Lonzo, 30 years of age. Now, this ain't the NFL where getting to 37 makes you well tenured, relatively speaking. There's much more in the way of baseball players that make it to 35, 36 than football players. But still, there's not a ton of 35, 36-year-old professional baseball players. It's a handful, not many. And Aaron Judge is going to do it at 6'7", 287? 9 years at $360 million. But the Yankees been doing some stuff lately, so we'll see if it stays that way. Odell Beckham Jr. has been visiting with the Dallas Cowboys. There is a little bit more steam to the possibility of OBJ becoming a Dallas Cowboy. The concern is that Beckham, remember, tore his ACL in that Super Bowl last year. He remains a free agent. He's been visiting with Dallas. He took a physical earlier this week before he went with a couple of Cowboys players to a Dallas Mavs game. The problem is he took that physical, and the Cowboys seem to be concerned that Odell Beckham Jr.'s knee is not ready to play yet. That it could be late January before Odell Beckham Jr. will be available. And it's like, kind of like, why are we going to sign a cat that can't show up until the playoff race has been decided and then expect he's just going to knock the ring rust off before a playoff run? It's a big risk, man. It's a big risk, and the Cowboys may not take it. Fortunately, they're not in a hurry. They've got the 110-1 Houston Texans this weekend. The Texas Bowl is going to be not entertaining at all. Dallas has got a couple of 45-point-plus games in the last few weeks. The Houston Texans should be relegated to high school football in Texas. Anyway, got all that. Don't know if you saw this, Lonzo, and I want to talk more about this later in the show. I'm a big fan of accidental celebrities, right? Not necessarily people who are trying to get famous, but accidentally got famous just because they're awesome. Like an accidental celebrity. Remember Mills Lane, the boxing referee?
Yeah.
Passed away yesterday. Mills Lane was an accidental sports celebrity that I loved. Mills Lane and his "let's get it on." Like Mills Lane had a stroke like a decade ago, left him unable to speak, right? Mills Lane has not been able to talk for a decade. It has been probably 15, 17 years since Mills Lane was in a boxing ring and dropped, "Let's get it on." 15 years later-ish, maybe more, I still say, "Let's get it on." There was a show. Go ahead.
You're going to talk about Celebrity Deathmatch?
You're damn right I am.
Yeah. Which was sometimes good, sometimes just like, okay. But if you were into the pop culture of the time,
It was great.
Yeah.
MTV had a show called Celebrity Deathmatch. It was a claymation wrestling show where they just pitted pop culture icons against each other. And Mills Lane was the referee, voicing the claymation version of Mills Lane. And he became every bit as, if not more important than the celebrities who were featured on this dumb television show. And he tagged every match with, "Let's get it on." Last year I served as the substitute. This year as the permanent in-arena host for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, right? I haven't done it this year, and now I kind of wish I would have started, but I might tonight. But last year, before they would drop the puck in the third period, they would come to me. So my job before the third period is I take the mic and the camera out into the stands, out into the crowd, and I try to hype the crowd up into a frenzy to start the third period, especially when it's a close game. And last year I would do that, and right before they go to ice, I'd be like, "Swamp Rabbits fans, let's get it on." And I haven't done it yet this year, but that is how much of an impactful, accidental celebrity Mills Lane was. So we'll talk more about Mills Lane later on and some of y'all's memories of that guy. Like, boxing has created two guys. Boxing has created two guys in my life that I got the chance to meet and was starstruck by. Lane was one of them. The other one is Michael Buffer. I can't say Michael Buffer's catchphrase.
I was going to say, don't make me dump you.
Yeah.
Because we get those emails every year.
Every year. Can you imagine, Zoe? Like we always talk about like which wrestling catchphrases.
What a punk move, how pretentious it is, all these things to copyright something.
But you got to think about it. That's the only thing he's got. That's his entire career.
How much money has he made off of lawsuits? I'm curious.
I'm assuming millions of dollars.
Enough for us to get those emails.
Yeah. I'm assuming millions, if not tens of millions of dollars. And you all know the catchphrase. I literally cannot say it. Let me put it this way. It is so protected. Like, we can say trademark catchphrases, provided we're not using them to profit, right? It is the only catchphrase that we get an email for from our corporate lawyers every year that go, don't say it, don't hit at it, don't parody it, don't include it in a parody of any type. Like, don't even think about those words.
And now it makes you want cookies.
It does.
Have you had those cookies?
I've not, but I've heard they're delicious.
They're very good. Yes.
So and you know the catchphrase. I can't even parody it, right? But at the same time, how genius is the career of Michael Buffer? The dude said 5 words one time in a wrestling match, and now he gets paid millions of dollars, Alonzo, to go to wrestling matches, boxing matches, say 5 words and leave. He got his brother famous to say not that. He got Michael Buffer famous. So Bruce's UFC, right?
Yes.
Bruce's UFC, Michael's
You can't
else.
say Bruce's phrase either.
Yeah, because Bruce was like, "Damn, bro, Your business model is spectacular.
I would think Bruce would be your hero with the jackets he was wearing.
Oh, I love Bruce.
Last week, the jacket he was wearing, I said, not even
The great Rob Brown could pull that off.
No, would wear that because it was so subdued and quiet.
Oh no, that's not Bruce.
Yeah, he went quiet last week. It was weird.
Think so Michael Buffer says 5 words and becomes a megastar for them. I met Michael Buffer in Vegas when I was out there working for Roy Jones. He was dropping a you-know-what phrase on that boxing match. Mike shows up to the arena. I'm standing there at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino. Mike walks by. I'm there with Roy's manager because I'm their PR guy. His name was McGee Wright. Great dude. Check this out. So McGee managed like 3 MMAers and boxers. Roy Jones Jr., he actually managed Anderson Silva for like a year and a half. And McGee's like, Rob, come here. This is Michael Buffer. I'm like, yep. Michael Buffer, though, is one of 2 people that when I met them, I completely just clammed up.
So you go, hey Mike, do the thing. Do the thing.
Remember when you did that thing at WrestleMania 3? That was awesome. I like, what do you say to Michael Buffer? Hey man, how did you come up with the idea of saying 5 words and getting paid dozens of millions of dollars to do it?
I would say, how much work have you had done?
I don't know, man. When you're super rich. Yeah, I clammed up at Mike. Lane was one of those guys too.
How tall is Michael Buffer?
He was shorter than me.
There we go.
But not by much.
There we go.
6'1", 6'1", somewhere in that ballpark. Shorter than me, but not by much.
Mills Lane, I don't think was very tall.
No, Mills Lane. Well, I say that, but you got to keep in mind, Mills Lane was the only time we ever saw Mills Lane was when he was standing between giant human beings. And that was it. Let's see here. Mills Lane, by the way, was a Marine and a badass boxer. He was 1 point away from making the 1960 U.S. Olympic team.
He does look like someone who would have been a Marine.
He was. And apparently a badass. 85 years old was Mills Lane. One of the most popular accidental celebrities of all time, right? Texter says, did you guys ever play the Celebrity Deathmatch video game? I don't think I did. I absolutely would have, but I don't think I ever did. Which is shocking because I love that show. Didn't they bring that show back a few years ago? Like a spin-off of it?
I think they did. You can also watch them on stream. I think it's HBO Max. I can't remember.
Really?
I watched some on one of them. I can't remember where.
Really?
It could be Peacock. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, my afternoon plans are set. I just YouTube searched Celebrity Deathmatch. I've got Mariah Carey versus Jim Carrey, Chris Rock versus Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Busta Rhymes versus William Shakespeare. Yeah, I'm just going to watch Mills Lane and Celebrity Deathmatch this afternoon. All right, let's take a break. Coming up on the show today, got a lot of stuff to get into. We have not gotten an opportunity. Scratch that. We have gotten but did not take the opportunity yet to start breaking down playoff matchups. We got Michigan, TCU. We got Georgia, Ohio State. I asked you guys the question yesterday. I'll ask it again today to see if we get a few more answers. We got a few yesterday, not a ton, because it was towards the end of the show. Would you take the bet that TCU has a closer game with Michigan than Ohio State does with Georgia? I would. Lonzo would not. Whose side are you on? I think TCU has a closer game with Michigan than Ohio State does with Georgia. Who do you got? Let's talk a little bit about those games when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, is right here on the Fan Upstate.
All right. According to the internet, you can watch it on a YouTube Prime.
There's a billion videos on YouTube.
YouTube Primetime subscription, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime, or Roku. So you can watch it on any of those. I am curious about what system the video game was on.
All right, let's see here. Skrilla said it's due to surgery a few years back. No getting punched in the face.
Ooh.
Lonzo, I've never had anybody tell me change your face or I'll change it for you. So no punches to the face so far.
Yeah, that was usually my go-to before I punch someone in the face. Hey, change your face before I change it for you.
You know, we haven't talked about it, but have you been following the Antonio Brown story?
No.
Antonio Brown has a warrant out for his arrest.
I did see that, but
He
you know,
locked
that's like
himself up in his house, and now apparently he's just on the lam, like he got out somehow. He's just MIA completely. But while he's MIA, running from an arrest warrant, he's actively tweeting about his music.
okay.
All right.
By the way, Celebrity Deathmatch is on PS2.
Okay.
We just happen to have one in the office. And I just happen to know someone who sells vintage games. So
We might have to stream a little Celebrity Deathmatch.
they have to.
Let's see. Luke said, did you go into broadcast knowing you wanted to do sports, or were you open to any genre ever? No, I wanted to do sports, Luke. I have done other genres. I've done classic rock. I've done country. I actually did 2 years of political talk radio. And not only that, had higher streaming numbers on my political talk radio show than any of the other genres in the cluster where I worked, including the #1 classic rock station in the Florida Panhandle. And I did better streaming numbers than them when I did politics, primarily because people will tune into things that make them angry. No, but when I got into radio, Luke, it was, I wanted to do sports. Sports was the first radio I did. My dad did business radio when I was growing up. Like, he did shows that were dedicated to business. And I was like, radio sounds awesome. That style of radio sounds miserable. And when I came home from college, when I was living in Florida, I heard a guy talking about sports on the radio, and I was like, wait. You can get paid to do this? And then it became the dream. And I've been doing it for...
Then he found out, no,
you can't.
You can't be paid
No, you
for doing
can't.
this. No, you can't. You can have fun doing it, though.
Kevin said Alice Cooper versus Ozzy Osbourne was the best match. I have no doubt. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only... Why is that song in my head?
I don't know. Don't get us flagged. What are you doing?
I wasn't playing it. I was playing my... Courtney wanted to go Christmas shopping last night, randomly. So we went to...
$8.79 on eBay. I'm just saying.
that game.
Yes.
Text Rob, see if he's got a copy of it randomly.
I will. All right, go ahead.
We went to a store called At Home. You ever been to At Home?
Hmm.
It's literally a store that sells everything for your home. It's
Oh.
a warehouse, and it sells everything you can think of. They had a 30-foot tall inflatable snowman. $200. 30 feet tall. I wanted it. Courtney said no. She's like, that's tacky. I'm like, right, that's why I want it. It's 30 feet tall. So I was putting it on my Instagram story, and I found as a song that you could use the Imperial March crossed over Carol of the Bells. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think I've seen that to lights. Someone had Star Wars themed
It's
lights.
incredible. The Rob Brown Show is dropping the bass this morning. Let's talk college football playoff preview, shall we? Is it too early, Lonzo, to talk college football playoffs when we're still like 2.5 weeks out?
Well, we don't know, I mean, because of vacations and things like that, how much opportunities you and I are going to be able to talk about
That's
it.
true.
So we can use that as a reason. Don't really need a reason, but let's go with that.
That's true. That's fair. Let me start with this because I did read this last night and I wanted to ask you this question. You shocked me a little bit last weekend. You shocked me a little bit last weekend when you told me that you believe that if Ryan Day loses to Michigan again next year, he would be let go or at least reprimanded pretty harshly. Do you still feel that way even though Ryan Day's in the playoffs now?
I never said that I felt
you
that
said
way. I said
you believe people would start
and they're
calling.
out there. Oh, they're out there for sure. The next day they were out there.
Right.
There are sites and everything
I agree with you.
because you don't do that. You've had winning coaches in Ohio State before.
You didn't say you thought he would deserve to be ousted. You said that you thought it was a possibility because people would start calling.
Yeah,
him.
and they have.
Do you still feel that way despite him making the playoffs? That Ohio State fans would still want Ryan Day out if he loses to Michigan, even though you guys are playing for a natty?
But Rob, the story, the possibility is still there for redemption this year. Because when Ohio State beats Georgia and Michigan destroys TCU, then we could get a rematch of Ohio State versus Michigan for the national championship this time. And then if Ryan Day were to beat Michigan for the national championship, all is forgiven. But the story can go a different way. If Ohio State were to play Michigan for the national championship and lose again, get the U-Haul ready because you're out. You're
Seriously?
Losing to Michigan twice in the same year?
Even if you're playing for a natty.
Twice in the same year. This is the rivalry in college football. Despite what some people want to say, this is the rivalry in college football. It's now a rivalry again. Yeah, you lose twice in the same year? No, you can't do that. He might even step down himself.
If he's playing, no, first off, no, he's not. Listen, I love me a good rivalry. I might even be willing to say that Michigan-Ohio State is the rivalry in college. Certainly this year, it is the rivalry in college football. But if you lose twice to your rival, but you're playing for a natty, will fans really turn on him?
All right, so you're expecting people to be rational on this, and they're not going to be, because twice in the same year, both meaningful games. One meaning more than the other. Losing to Michigan in the national championship game, that would be bad. I'm not saying riot in the streets bad, but you may have to move bad at least. Suddenly boosters no longer have money for things and stuff like that. And you can't do that. There's never been a situation, as I recall, where this is a possibility to lose to your rival twice in the same year.
Alabama, Georgia did it a couple of years ago, SEC championship game, and then turned it around and ran it back for the natty. Split them, but Georgia won the important one.
Yeah, but that wasn't a rivalry.
Georgia, Alabama right now is a rivalry.
It's a budding rivalry, but it's not a historical rivalry like Ohio State and Michigan.
Okay.
Hey, man,
Alabama and Georgia have been in the SEC together.
Yeah, but Ohio State, Michigan matters to the country, and Alabama and Georgia does not.
All right.
I'm using your own rationale against you.
All right. Man, what a college football thing to say.
Wait. We don't do that.
State,
we don't
Michigan
do that here.
Matters to the country.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It does. It absolutely does.
Michigan, Ohio State matters to the country and that we enjoy chaos.
No, and there's a good portion of the people here who want to see Ohio State lose again because they're born and bred to hate them because of Woody Hayes, and that's fine. If you're gonna get fired, if it's a punch harder, man. I mean, make that punch mean something. There's still statues of him in Ohio, by the way. You were going to ask that question, will Michigan destroy TCU, which is the bigger score between the two teams? There's no way that TCU belongs on the field with Michigan. And that hurts for me to say. They just don't. They just don't. There's always that fourth team that doesn't really belong, and it's TCU.
I think some folks are really underestimating TCU. And I wonder if TCU doesn't maybe catch Michigan by surprise a little bit, right? Like starting back in mid-November, people were talking about how TCU is really just lucky. They were number 4 back in mid-November, and people were already trying to get them out of the picture. And yeah, they lost the Big 12 championship game. But think about that from the position of Kansas State. By the way, a top 10 team. Kansas State was a team that nobody respected despite doing some good things, having some numbers. That was the biggest game Kansas State played all year. They brought their everything, whereas TCU had been catching everybody's everything for 14 weeks going into that one. And now, for whatever reason, like TCU, and granted, it's not a great Big 12, right? It's an okay Big 12, but it's not a great Big 12. But they do have Texas ending up being 6-3 in conference, 8-4 overall. Kansas State was 10-3. TCU's 12-1. The rest of the teams in 7 or are 7-5 and below. But crazy ridiculous as is the huge offensive numbers. TCU's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Defensively, they'll give up some points, but they're also happy to get into a 45-42 shootout with you, right? And I wonder if Michigan doesn't look ahead at Georgia v. Ohio State and go, either we're catching the best team in the country in Georgia, or we're recreating Michigan, Ohio State, and this time there's a trophy on the line, and doesn't hit the snooze button on TCU a little bit. The line on that game has jumped around a couple of times. In fact, before I tell you what I saw it at last, let's go pull it real quick just for fun.
I want to guess because
go ahead.
I'm gonna guess Michigan 12.
-12 for the Wolverines. Let's see here. I'm working on pulling it up right now. Michigan is -7.5 in this one.
That's it?
Yep. I told you. I think, listen.
Vegas is playing people. Michigan is going to destroy TCU.
Dude, Vegas does not play people. Vegas's only job is to hit that number spot on, right? Hit that number spot on. They want 50% on one side, 50% on the other.
All right now, you got $500.
TCU plus 7.5. You're giving me a touchdown and a half?
Dude, man, that's
and without Michigan having Corum playing?
What a loss for you.
I feel like
I felt dirty defending Michigan, but Michigan is a much better team than TCU.
I don't think you're defending Michigan so much as you are propping up Michigan as leverage to prop up Ohio State.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm really going at TCU because they don't belong there.
So who would you put in there?
TCU is going to be like Cincinnati last year. All the hype. Oh yeah, Cincinnati, but they're probably going to prove. Yeah, they didn't. They did.
Yeah, they did.
They did not.
That's unfair though. Cincinnati catching the playoff.
Cincinnati and TCU might as well be the same team.
No, TCU is better than Cincinnati was last year. Max Duggan is a Heisman caliber quarterback.
Whether Georgia beats Ohio State or not, I think Georgia is looking at Michigan going, man, you guys got the easier draw. you guys got the gimme.
Cincinnati caught an Alabama Crimson Tide team that was as good as anybody in the country that year. They caught a Heisman Trophy starting quarterback. They caught, 2,000-yard receivers. I mean, that team was out of this world. And I said that before that game last year. I was like, let me tell you exactly what's going to get sideways for you here. What's going to get squirrely is that Cincinnati's going to get beat by Alabama, and everybody's going to use it as the reason that smaller schools should never be invited again, despite the fact that, you know who else would have lost to Alabama? Freaking everybody else.
I just noticed something, and maybe it's because it hasn't been hyped like it normally is. There are 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four.
Sure are.
We always hear about the SEC. Oh, there's the 2 SEC teams. What are there 2 SEC teams? We're not hearing that complaint about the 2 Big Ten teams. Why is that? Usually the national media is going crazy on that, and I just now, because of Kevin's comments, but I just now thought of it. I'm not hearing about that. The fact that there are 2 Big Ten teams in and not 2 SEC teams in.
Couple of reasons. Number one, because the SEC doesn't have an argument for another team, right? If LSU would have defeated Georgia in the SEC title game, you'd have heard this decision. You'd have heard this, right? Wait a minute. LSU just beat the number 1 team in the country. They also beat Bama. They should get a ride even with 2 losses because they're out of the mighty SEC. If they would have beaten A&M and beat Georgia, then you'd have heard that discussion.
But they wouldn't have got in because they won't let a 2-loss team in. They just won't until the 12-team play.
I mean, I can't prove that they wouldn't now, obviously, because we're not going to find out this year. I do thoroughly believe that had LSU won out, beat A&M and Georgia, they would have slipped in at number 4 as a 2-loss SEC team. But the reason you're not going to hear a lot about Ohio State and Michigan out of the Big Ten not only going but giving us a rematch, though, is because who else are you putting in there? You putting a 2-loss Alabama team that already lost to Georgia and lost to Tennessee, who's going to the Orange Bowl? Are you putting USC, you lost twice to Utah? You think they can compete with Georgia, right? The reason you're not hearing people complain is because there's nobody else that you can say definitively deserves it more than Ohio State going in at number 4. There is no, if the SEC, if Bama was a 1-loss team, first off, if Bama was a 1-loss team, they'd be going ahead of Ohio State. But if Bama was a 1-loss team and was not going, you would hear absolutely, why are we doing a rematch?
I don't believe you're right about Bama being a 1-loss team and going ahead of Ohio State because which loss are you taking away from Bama?
I would say take the LSU loss away. If LSU does not hit that 2-point conversion, Bama's playing for a playoff game this year.
Why?
SEC.
But they wouldn't be an SEC champion, right? They're still not playing for the SEC championship.
If they would have beat LSU, it would have come down to a boat race at the end, right? Because LSU got in because of beating Alabama. The SEC West likely would have come down to the last week of the season, and LSU losing to A&M would have put Alabama in the SEC championship game playing Georgia.
What they would have done is they would have looked and saw that Ohio State lost to a higher ranked team than what Alabama lost to, and Ohio State was ranked around 2 the entire season, and that would have gave them the edge over Alabama.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no such thing as SEC bias. That doesn't exist.
You said that and my chair started sinking. Look at that. It's deflating from hearing that. You got Georgia Bama in the SEC championship game.
You might want to get that looked at there,
You got Georgia Bama in the SEC championship game. If Alabama would have beat Georgia, you got a rematch in the playoffs. If they didn't, then you'd have still got the same result. There's a lot going on here. We're getting deep into the hypotheticals. Here's what it comes down to. To circle back around to the beginning of this conversation.
That's almost as bad as if Cade had played all year. I mean, it's right akin to that.
I don't think so. And by the way, my conversation was not what if Cade had played all year. It was, and I would like to point out that I asked this question immediately after Cade came in and blew out Carolina. And we brought that up for
North
discussion
Carolina.
Monday morning.
North Carolina.
Yes, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Had Cade played against South Carolina, could the result have been different? And I think the answer now has to be yes.
Well, it's a good thing we're the only show that does hypotheticals,
Yeah.
because no other show on this station would do that repeatedly.
Correct.
And then change the word to something else other than hypothetical to cover themselves.
Had Cade played South Carolina and they beat the Gamecocks, as I said on Monday morning, I didn't need anybody else to tell me that they would have been playing in the playoffs this year.
Just as far-fetched as Alabama making it with one loss
If
over
they were
Ohio
a
State.
team, they would have.
Overall, no.
Because
no,
if they're
it's
one,
just-
and I say that because if they were a one-loss team, it meant they won the SEC, right? By definition, one-loss team, they would have had to be.
if they won the SEC,
would
yes,
absolutely be in
but
as
that was
one-loss
not factored into our hypothetical.
Well, it's the only way they could have been a one-loss team. Would have been.
No, they have two
to beat
losses.
Georgia. Right. I'm saying if you took the LSU game away, the only reason they would have gotten in as one-loss team would have been beating Georgia in the SEC championship game, in which case they definitely would have gone as a one-loss team.
If they won the SEC championship, yes.
Right.
So you patterned
I'm
it in a
saying
way.
stop sleeping on the Horned Frogs.
TCU is not going to win.
I didn't say they're going to win. I said plus 7.5,
they're-
and you're sleeping on them.
Yeah, I am.
You may not have a
May not even
Michigan
watch that game because there's. I mean, the outcome is already. Michigan is in the final. They are.
I don't know, man. If Michigan sleeps on TCU like you're sleeping on TCU, Max Duggan might catch him by surprise. I like Max. All right, let's take a break. We're just kind of all over the map in college football playoff talk right now. What's your hot take about the college football playoffs? I don't do hot take radio. I'll let you do hot take radio, listener. What is your college football playoff hot take? 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with fan. I got room for one call in the final segment of the hour. Next hour, we kick it up to the NFL. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's Wednesday. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, stream, be right back. Got a live read, and then I'm right back to you.
Kevin, Gamecocks are already turned around. 8 wins, more than what people expected. Get a bowl win in there. That's a 9-win season. That's not bad. But I'm not a Big Ten homer. I'm a fan of the Gamecocks and the Buckeyes. So, I mean, But unfortunately, the Gamecocks are not in this conversation. Neither is Alabama. Georgia is for sure. And if I had to bet money about whether Georgia and Ohio State would win, and I was forced to bet, I probably would go with Georgia. But I'm going to root for my team, whether they lost to Michigan. They don't deserve to be there, but they're there. I don't root against them. James, as I've said many times, including on that other show where there apparently is an arbiter, fandom cannot be defined by someone else. You are your own fan, just like being a man. No one can tell me what being a man is like. A man is whatever I say it is, just like a fan is whatever it is to me.
But what about being the man? You have to be a 15-time world champion?
You just have to be Ric Flair. And no one else can be that.
So we're talking college football playoffs with TCU versus Michigan. Hilarious that of the teams that are in, Michigan at the beginning of the year was talking about moving on from Jim Harbaugh. Remember that? Everybody was saying Harbaugh's probably on the way out. He's going to the league.
You know why? Because he couldn't beat Ohio State. And then now he's beat them twice.
Now he's beat them twice. And not just made the college football playoffs, but now he's got a chance against a TCU team that was picked 7th in the Big 12 in the preseason. The second team to go from unranked into the playoffs. Sonny Dykes is going to be your coach of the year candidate because not only did he do an excellent job, TCU added 14 players via the transfer portal, and Sonny Dykes put together a team. I'm not going to be dramatic and call them a team of destiny, but ain't nobody saw them making this run.
They were a team of destiny.
Max Duggan, who is the kind of quarterback that you love to watch play, just blood and guts, man. And a hell of a rushing quarterback, too. Top rushing quarterback in the conference. They've also got Quentin Johnson, who is going to be an NFL second rounder, maybe sneaks into the back end of the first round, but a second rounder at worst. Kendre Miller is a 1,300-yard rusher. And offensively, they're a team that 40 points is the reg. The only question mark is going to be defensively for TCU. Donovan Edwards has run for 400 yards in the last 2 weeks. Why? Because Blake Corum has been largely unavailable. J.J. McCarthy has been asked to throw the ball more without Blake Corum out there, and he's done well as doing it. That being said, TCU is not a great defensive team. Michigan is a well above average defensive team, but they're going up against the best offense they've seen since Ohio State. And Ohio State, how would you describe in one word Ohio State's offense in that Michigan game, Lonzo, as a Ohio State fan?
inadequate.
Yeah. They were just off. I'd say off, right?
Again, I think it's too much adrenaline, but I think they were overhyped for that game, and once it got away from them a little bit, it was over.
I'll say this. Michigan's the pick in that game. Don't call into the show the next day we're on the air and tell me it was an upset and nobody saw it coming. Because I can absolutely see TCU winning that game.
By the way, I just want to point out, I've been talked about the story and everything I want to see. Man, I hope TCU beats Michigan. I just don't think it's going to happen.
7.5 points right now. You can get TCU plus 7.5 right now. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Betting strategy-wise, I'm not jumping on it yet. Because I do think more people are in Lonzo's camp. I do think more people think TCU is going to get run out of the building in that one. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that line move to like 8.5, maybe 9.5 before kickoff. So I'm going to hold off on that one. Mainly because you don't have, like, a lot of people aren't taking that bet right now, right? We got what, 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks until that game? I'm going to let some folks start throwing money at Michigan minus 7.5 and let that line move to 8.5, maybe 9.5, pick up a couple of extra points. If I can get TCU down to plus 9.5, I'm putting change on that. If I get them at plus 8.5, I'll put change on it. I'm going to wait out 7.5. All right. We'll talk NFL when we come back. Carolina's on the road at Seattle this weekend. The Buccaneers get a win they absolutely did not deserve on Sunday. Is it time for Carolina to push the tank button again? Or is Tampa still within striking distance, in your opinion? We'll talk about that. We'll take a look at the top. San Francisco's on to quarterback number 3, and it's not Baker Mayfield because he is a Los Angeles Ram as of today. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Got some NFL talk coming up. World Cup, we can get into that. Portugal does not play Ronaldo and gets the win needlessly. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Sorry. That's on me. That's on me.
Just let it go to prove a point.
That's on me. James says you're not a real fan unless you have the Tervis tumbler. Despite the absolute garbage that my team put on the field on Monday night, I'm still rocking it.
I have one of those, but my wife took it, so it's hers now. But not that brand, obviously. So I don't know if you saw this, but WWE is looking to hire a new producer with video editing skills. I've seen it in a couple of different places. So, I mean, you've always said if I could be the writer for that's a foot in the door.
Foot
in the door, and that would be job 30, I think. So, I mean, is it illegal to put an application in for someone else?
As long as it doesn't violate your non-compete.
No. I mean, no. I'm not talking about for me or for you. I'm talking about some other show. If we put their names on applications to apply for the WWE job.
Yes, that's illegal.
Okay, I thought so. I needed some advice from someone who knows a lawyer. So, thank you.
Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin has the potential to be really entertaining.
I get it. Darby's just going to ragdoll a bunch, and that dude just likes pain, and that's it. How can I get hurt worse? Oh yeah, let's go fight Samoa Joe. Although Samoa Joe will probably get hurt in the match, and then he'll be gone for 7 months or something.
trace today. Easy payment plans and affordable braces. A lifetime of smiles you can afford at myaffordablebraces.com.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering,
What are you doing?
and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show? It's Nick Saban Day, and somebody asked him what his super special hidden talent is. And his answer is, I clean the house good. Does it bother you that a reporter in a limited time Nick Saban Q&A would ask him, what's your super duper special hidden talent? Some people like their coaches to be looked at as just regular dudes. And then there's other folks that are like, no, man, like you have X amount of time to talk to a man who is getting paid tens of millions of dollars to coach a football team. I want to know about him coaching the football team.
Here's the thing, I think you're missing what the reporter did and what Nick Saban did. For the Alabama fans out there, now washing dishes, roll tide. Washing windows, roll tide. Cleaning the toilets, roll tide. Taking out the trash, roll tide.
Cleaning the toilet is like Nick Saban, roll tide.
Same drink still, new time.
Harley in the next break.
Alrighty.
Our lineup of playmakers.
The DA Show, mornings at 6.
Our tacos.
And offsides with Mark Ryan and 3. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3, the official sports voice of the Upstate fan. CBS Sports live on the Philadelphia.
Man, check this out.
We're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Our numero dos to the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, the great one, Lonzo, is here as well. If you'd like to be a part of the radio broadcast, now's your opportunity. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. If you want to go in that direction, you can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word. Get at us on the live stream as well at Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, or you can subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or on Twitch and go behind the scenes for all 3 hours if you want to come at us in that direction. Baker Mayfield is a Los Angeles Ram now. And, you know, it's interesting. So we talked a little bit about this on the Views from Mint Street pod. We'll be cutting another episode of Views from Mint Street later on this afternoon that will drop this evening. And we were talking about what teams he can end up on. And my thought was, San Francisco is probably the team that wants him, right? as they are now all the way down to QB3 after Jimmy G has exited the season, may be available for the playoffs, but will not likely be available in the regular season. And then I thought, all right, what other team between 1 and 24, where the 49ers are in the waiver wire, could end up putting a claim on Baker? And before San Francisco said, we're not interested, although I don't think that was true. I think that was a smokescreen to try to keep other teams from putting a claim on him. I thought, how about the LA Rams, right? Sitting at the top of the waiver wire, dead last in the NFC West. I thought they could go with that guy. Stafford has seemingly not fully recovered from his elbow issue. The Rams have been trash. And then I got to thinking about just how trash they are. The Rams are getting set for a Thursday night matchup with the Raiders coming up tomorrow evening. Lonzo, the Rams have lost 6 in a row. They have won 1 of their last, 10? Last 9. 1 of their last 9. 2 of their last 10. Have we ever seen a Super Bowl drop off like this? I mean, we've heard of Super Bowl hangovers. We've seen teams that win the Super Bowl come back largely the same and just cannot get it done. But this isn't a Super Bowl hangover. This is a Super Bowl. We're still hammered while we play football.
They've been decimated by injuries, though. I mean, major injuries to major players, and you lose a bunch of stars. It's hard. I mean, losing Cooper Kupp alone. I mean, that's.
I don't disagree, but Cooper's been out 3 weeks now. They lost to the Saints, for God's sake.
And don't forget, someone's elbow, the quarterback's elbow, has been hurt all year, and now he had to have a spine problem or something, if I recall, and he's done for the season. There's just a lot of places where you need the guys that got you there, and they're not there now because they're hurt.
Stafford on IR with a spinal cord contusion, and contusions aren't fun. I can't imagine, the only contusion I want less than a spinal cord contusion is a groin contusion.
Yes, absolutely. So his spine is bruised. How hard did you got to get hit to get your
to bruise a spine?
Yeah.
Yeah. No bueno. Baker Mayfield will likely step in as the starter, but not tomorrow, right? Can't start that dude tomorrow.
All right, so the rumors are out there that he's already been sent the playbook that he could study on the way out there. That they can simplify the offense, and really, what it comes down to is, could they do any worse? All they've been doing is losing anyway. I mean, it really would come. Does Baker want to go out there that quick? I mean, if you're him, do you want to go? Will he have the confidence that he needs? Supposedly, he has a really good, even great football IQ when it comes to learning terminologies and things like that. So it wouldn't shock me if he's out there, but I don't think he will be.
Give me my favorite quote of this whole scenario. Rams offensive coordinator Liam Cohen was asked how Baker fits into the Sean McVay offense. And Cohen said about Baker, and I directly quote Lonzo, "It's just kind of acquiring talent, to be honest." Quote, end quote.
And why would you do that, Rob? Why would you acquire some talent? You're out of the playoffs. You're not getting in. You're not going to win your division. Why would you acquire talent? I don't know. It might be a reason why you would do that.
Because you don't got none.
Or because you don't want another team to have said talent. The best way to keep San Francisco from getting him is to take him yourself.
Only cost you $1.5 million.
That's right. And only for what? 2 months, something like that, and then you can let him go if you want. Well, actually, he'll be a free agent, so he can go wherever he wants.
I don't know, man. Like the good news. The good news for LA is that Baker does, despite what a lot of other people have said, Baker does seem to be a guy that locker rooms don't hate, right? Seems to be a guy that locker rooms seem to gel around a little bit. So maybe the Rams do, but we're kind of hitting the point of the season that how do you say it doesn't matter without being mean?
Well, I think this means more to Baker than it does to the Rams, because this is a lost season for the Rams. But if Baker comes in and he wins, it will help him to go somewhere else. But if he comes in and looks as bad as he did with Carolina, which some of it was situational and some of it was, I believe, a coach not wanting him there. Well, if he looks bad, then his career might be over.
He's still got backup potential.
Does he?
Yeah. I'd keep Baker on as a backup. Here's the thing. The Rams right now are going to lose their backup quarterback. Bryce Perkins is their third string quarterback. He's got like a year of third string experience in the NFL. At this point, I think you've got to be working under the assumption that Matt Stafford's career is coming to a close, right? The injuries are just racking up on that poor guy. Stafford's back hurts from carrying the Detroit Lions for so long. You can keep Baker on as a backup. Is it worth it to bring him on as a starter? I mean, Carolina tried it. It went miserably, but as has been, and I think very fairly asked multiple times, is that Matt Rule or was it Baker, right? Matt Rule leaves and the Panthers seem to, and again, let's not sit here and pretend like it's a good football team. It's not. But the whole NFC South is trash right now. But they seem to at least have some competence about them that they didn't really feel like they had in the first 5 weeks of the season. So
Really, the only thing they're doing is they're running the ball. That's the only thing they're doing different. It is the only thing they're doing different. I get what you're saying about confidence, but this coaching staff decided to run the ball. If Rule would have run the ball, he might still be there.
No, he wouldn't be, because he wanted to go back to Nebraska. Matt, of all the things that Matt Rule said, and I don't think we had the conversation on this show. We had it on the Views from Mint Street podcast, which if you want to listen to, go download last Friday's episode, because we talked about all of the comments of Matt Rule on his redemption tour since he got to Nebraska. They asked Matt Rule, if you could do one thing different about your time in Charlotte, what would it be? And Matt Rule said, the only thing I do different is get a different job. Which, screw you then, buddy. Right? Like, come on, man. Matt Rule is the jilted ex-lover of a relationship gone sour who refuses to acknowledge that, maybe I was a little bit of the problem. You know what Matt Rule is right now? Like a way less entertaining Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift made an entire career off of talking smack about all the dudes she dated it didn't work out with. To the point that I had a joke I said many times of maybe Tay-Tay's next album, and by the way, I like Taylor, maybe Tay-Tay's next album should be called Maybe It's Me. Taylor made a whole career over going, every dude I date is terrible. Every dude I date is bad. And it's like, yeah, but like, what's the old expression? If you run into one jackass during the day, it was a jackass. If you run into jackasses all day, maybe it's you. Right? So Matt Rule says...
Is that a Florida expression? I don't know.
No, the expression is, if you run into one a-hole all day, that's an a-hole. If you run into a-holes all day, you're the a-hole. That's the expression.
Okay.
So I like when I introduce Lonzo to pop culture terms he's never heard before.
Well, because is it a new one? I'm not looking
Oh,
it
no,
up.
I've heard that
but
for years.
That's because I'm, in case you didn't know, listener, I'm older, and the fact that when I hear something new that supposedly has been around a while, I'm a little shocked. That's all.
I learned that one from Adam McCloskey, my old morning show co-host, about 15 years ago, because we had an afternoon host who would show up, and he always wore jogging suits. You remember not like jog? Remember windbreakers?
You mean like Tony D'Angelo kind of thing?
I mean, like he'd walk in a room and you hear
Those. Okay. All right.
as he walked across a room. Same Alabama windbreaker jogging suit with a gold chain on the outside of it every day. Like he was in a low-rent Tuscaloosa mafia.
Do those exist? Because we know there's some in Spartanburg, so there probably is.
I used to call them shiners.
Tuscaloosa. Okay.
So anyway, he'd walk in and every day he'd complain about how nobody respected him and nobody liked him and everybody was out to get him and everybody hated him and everybody was stabbing in the back. And after
sounds like a guy I could be a buddy with.
After 7 months. No, because this guy was aggressive about it, right?
Oh, okay.
Like you play the victim quietly in your chair. This guy loudly complained about it every day. And we're on air one day, and this guy's like, it's people out there disrespecting me as a host. And Adam on the air was like, hey, Scott, you ever considered maybe you suck? Like on the air. He just goes, you ever considered maybe you suck? And 6-month veteran producer Rob Brown was like,
no, that's when you play the Kurt Angle theme.
oh, man.
I mean, come on.
Again, 6 months in the game. Now, if somebody said that, I'd be, dun-dun, dun-dun. Not then. Anyway, Matt Rule says, I would get a different job. That's what I do differently. It's like, Matt, you do know it was kind of your fault, right? I'm not saying entirely your fault, but kind of your fault. So the question is, did Baker get ruined because Baker is truly bad? Or was Baker just bad? Is Baker Mayfield just a bad quarterback?
I feel like you and I have the potential to be duped with Baker because we believed in Baker all this time.
Sure.
What if we were wrong? What if he really
is bad?
What if he really is bad? Since we're talking about self-realization and all that kind of stuff, what if you and I collectively were wrong?
I mean, we might have been, but I'm not ready to accept that quite yet. I will say this. There are a lot of injuries, as Lonzo pointed out, with the LA Rams right now. But if you asked me right now to pick a coach to rehabilitate a quarterback with, Lonzo, Sean McVay's up on that list, isn't he? Sean McVay's got to be high on that list. I would feel better about Bake if Coop was still available. But if you gave me a list of current and active NFL head coaches to revitalize a quarterback's career with, Sean McVay's got to be at the top of the list. Are there any other NFL quarterbacks you would say you would take above Sean McVay for the sole purpose of revitalizing a quarterback's career? I can't think of one.
Yeah, but can he do it in 4 games or 5? How many games?
No, not fully.
Can he make enough of a difference to help him get a job elsewhere?
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Can Sean bring enough out of Baker that the Rams go, let's bring it back? And don't tell me the Rams can't have success with a veteran quarterback because Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl last year. So I think that I would pick, if I had to pick a quarterback to revitalize Baker, I think Sean McVay would absolutely be the guy that I picked. The Rams are using this as a tryout, I think, right? Let's give him 4 weeks. If he comes in here and he does some stuff in 4 weeks, we'll give him a crack. And if he doesn't, who cares? We're on the hook for $1.5 million, and then he's a free agent and he's gone, and we can look elsewhere. I actually think it's a good fit for Bake. You got an offensive mastermind who has just been hurting for talent and availability in LA, who's coming off a Super Bowl win. You got 4 weeks to prove that you can do it. And the Rams might very well bring you back. We'll see. All right, Texter says, is it too early to play the coaching carousel game yet? Could we do a segment on it? Thanks, guys. Love the show. That's from UNC Chris. It's never too early, Chris. But I'd like to know, like, what are you looking at? What are you thinking?
Yeah, because this year, like other years, you're not, well, we know this guy is gone. We know this guy is gone. We know this guy is gone. And we're fairly late in the season and we're not hearing a lot about that.
Well, I mean, think about it. The jobs that were available are filled. Auburn is filled with Hugh Freeze. LOL. Good luck with that. Nebraska is filled with Matt Rule. Wisconsin is filled with Luke Fickell. Arizona State's filled with Kenny Dillingham. Stanford is open.
Maybe he meant the NFL.
No, he said college.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. Said the coaching. Oh, no, he did say the coaching carousel game. I just saw UNC Chris and thought that was the.
Yeah, maybe he means the NFL because, as you just pointed out, college is pretty much taken care of.
Yeah.
But the NFL may have a few coaches that'll be gone. And we know of one job that's open, supposedly, and that would be the Panthers' job.
Yeah, I hope the Saints job is open. I don't actively.
How many guys do we have to have in there before it becomes a carousel? Do we need 4?
Oh, are you talking about overall jobs?
Yeah.
Or are you talking
before
about with
we
the
talk about the
Saints?
coaching carousel? Because if it's just 2 openings, that's not a carousel.
We'll see. Tell you what, Chris, I'll put that on the prep sheet to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. Who's out of a job at the end of this year? Right? I don't know that Dennis Allen is. Nobody in the NFC East is. Sean McVay's not. Cliff Kingsbury could be out, maybe, if the team decides that they like.
Yeah, Kevin's got a good point. Broncos, Panthers, and Colts. Broncos more than likely.
Yeah,
because
Hackett's got to go.
Yeah, because they can't get rid of Russ because of how much money they owe him.
Yeah.
And Colts, we already know that's interim basis.
Yeah.
And Panthers is interim basis.
I think Jeff Saturday rode the high into week 1, and then it's been all over since that.
Yeah, Cardinals is a possibility also.
Cliff Kingsbury's possibility. The Bears aren't. The Packers probably don't make a switch. Carolina does. New Orleans is better. Patriots are 6-6. They won't. The Broncos will. Is Mike Tomlin on thin ice with Pittsburgh?
No.
I don't think so either. 5-7.
He's never had a losing season, and he still has the potential to not have
Yeah.
one now. I mean, I guess.
The Jags got a new guy. They're not making a switch. The Texans just brought in Lovey. I could see the Texans making a switch. Just going like we tried with Lovey, but you can't accept one win even. As
Yeah, I
coach,
always
right?
kind of thought he was like a placeholder for somebody else
100%.
anyway.
100%. All right, let's take a break. Somebody just texted me Taylor Swift. That was it. That's the whole text. It's Taylor Swift.
Maybe they couldn't believe that you brought up Taylor Swift again. I mean, maybe that's what it was.
Texter says, had Dabo Sweeney had a set of to make a hard coaching decision, then it would have been possible for the Tigers to win against South Carolina.
Hey, come on. We don't do hypotheticals like that here. We don't. It's not what the station's about.
I really got to go find the end of that text now. Oh, that's from Cocky for a reason. Yeah, I've said a couple of times, I absolutely believe that Dabo goes to Cade, comes and is playing for a playoff game today. I've been saying that since Sunday morning.
Hey, but you know what? They're not. You know why? Because they lost to South Carolina. That's right. They did. Good luck in the Losers Bowl against that other team that South Carolina beat. Go Rocky Top.
Should take us to break, buddy. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, Stream, be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, stores, and colleges.
I am the heel of this show. Maybe the station. Probably not the building, though. A good heel knows where to get the heat.
Step one, talk smack about their sports team.
You know, Kevin, I'm saving my Christmas listening time for December 17th because December 17th is the Upstate Pulse annual Christmas karaoke special. And during the Upstate Pulse annual Christmas karaoke special, we sing Christmas music. So I'm waiting for that. I was subjected to a horrible Mariah Carey song for the Thanksgiving Day parade where they decided to give Mariah more screen time than Santa Claus, and it was ridiculous. They kept going back and forth, and it's like, what are you doing?
Was she singing her song?
She sang her song, but she couldn't move like she usually does, where she gets, painted into her clothing. And
There is a
but I mean, they just kept going back and forth, and it was just awkward. Santa Claus is a star, man. Come on.
There is a game that I'm playing about Christmas music right now, and I'm not going to tell Lonzo what it is because he will cause me to lose that game. I will tell him what the game is after I lose it. But it has taken away one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. The game is you have to avoid this song, and once you hear the song, you're out. And there's like a group of us that are playing to see who can go the longest without hearing this one particular Christmas song. And so far, I've made it the entire first week of December without hearing it. But it's also taken away my favorite Christmas song. One of my favorite Christmas songs.
Kevin, it's an annual thing. Been doing it for, I think this will be the 8th year. So it's not like, it's not what you think, though.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Which team in the NFL has been derailed by injury the most? I'm not talking about most games missed. That, unfortunately, is mine. But what team has been derailed the most by injury? I'm going to tell you, Zoe, it is a team that just lost one injury. It's the Baltimore Ravens. It's the Ravens.
Been that way 2 years in a row, too.
Yep. Lamar has a sprained knee, a sprained PCL. He is, according to John Harbaugh, week to week. The Baltimore Ravens are the only team with a hurt quarterback that cannot win without their hurt quarterback. I believe the 49ers can still win without Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo is not throwing the ball all that much. I genuinely believe, and again, I could end up being wrong about this, but I genuinely believe that Baker Mayfield could step into San Francisco and do everything Jimmy Garoppolo is doing and do it well enough that they can still win without Jimmy G. I believe that. The injury that derails the team the most is Lamar Jackson. I am Still to some degree shocked that the Ravens have not paid Lamar Jackson, that the Ravens have not made Lamar Jackson the highest paid quarterback in the league. I'm stunned by that. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league. I am saying he is the MV quarterback of any team. I don't think there is another team that can lose their quarterback and fall off as much as Baltimore. Baltimore's still a very good defensive football team, particularly their front seven. Anybody's going to have a hard time throwing against them. But I was very curious about where the Ravens are without Lamar. The Ravens have the Steelers coming up, and I'm starting with this game because I think it's the one that has the most dramatic, illustration by using Vegas odds. The Baltimore Ravens have the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up, Alonzo. Guess the spread in that game.
This is without Lamar.
Without Lamar.
3.
It's -2.5. Oh, I'm sorry. With the Steelers favored.
Kenny Pickett's no joke, man.
Stop disrespecting the hands, man.
Little hands can spin that ball.
If the Ravens have Lamar, what's that line? I say Ravens -6.5.
It's probably not going to be a huge number because they're rivals. So, I mean, that brings the number down.
I agree. And this game is in Pittsburgh, keep in mind. So the common thought is you're catching 3 for being at home, which means that Vegas feels the Ravens are a half point better than the Steelers. The Ravens go into this game Sunday with Lamar right now being week to week and a probable no-go coming up on Sunday. And the Ravens are now dogs in that. Dogs. That is, I was going to say that's shocking, but it's really not. Now, in fairness, it's not a huge gap, right? The Ravens are 8-4. The Steelers are 5-7. But with Lamar, I'm talking a 8, maybe 9 point swing in the betting value in this game. The Ravens are +125 on the money line. They are dogs in this game without Lamar. Garoppolo's injury is a big one. Cooper Kupp as an injury is a huge loss for the LA Rams, but the LA Rams weren't contenders when Cooper Kupp was healthy. The Ravens at 8-4 are.
Because they couldn't throw the ball to him because Stafford's arm was hurt.
Sure.
Cooper Kupp, arguably the best receiver in football, doesn't look like it this year because no one can throw him the ball.
Sure. If the Rams had an uninjured Matthew Stafford and those injuries weren't piling up against him, then I think perhaps the Rams would still be in contention, but they're not. So Cooper Kupp's injury is not that bad, right? Lamar Jackson going out, if his injury is more than a couple of weeks long, if it's more than a couple of weeks long, the Ravens could very well end up falling out of spots. Now, the good news is the schedule lined up ahead of them is not a murderer's row. They're at the Steelers this week. They're at Cleveland on the 17th. Christmas Eve there, back home for Atlanta. Then they got the Steelers in Baltimore. Then they wrap it up on the road at Cincinnati. The problem is, even if they get Lamar back for, let's say, the last 2 weeks of the season, at home against Pittsburgh and on the road at Cincinnati, the problem is, at this point, it is very, very possible that the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 8-4 could be playing the Bengals for the division.
Have you really considered Baltimore a threat to go to the Super Bowl?
After they added Roquan Smith, yes.
I mean, Cincinnati's coming on. You still got the Bills. You still got Kansas City. I'd never consider them, especially not this year, to be a contender.
For the record, all those teams that you mentioned are either 9-3 or 8-4.
Doesn't matter.
None of those teams. It does matter a little bit. Like listen, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. Still waiting on him to earn back the fourth Josh Allen. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes guy. Both studs. I'm not arguing with that. What I'm saying is, despite the Chiefs and Bills being favorites, and by the way, the Dolphins are 8-4 too. Let's not count the Dolphins out, though. They did take a pretty big hit this week. Despite those teams, I absolutely think the Bills and the Chiefs are better than the Ravens. That doesn't mean that I don't think the Ravens are a threat with Lamar Jackson. So for that dude to be out week to week with 2 against Pittsburgh coming up and wrapping it up on the road in another divisional rivalry against the Bengals, the Ravens could go from AFC North leaders to potentially the second wild card in the AFC.
With the way the Bengals are playing right now, would you, if Lamar was healthy, would you pick Baltimore to beat the Bengals? The fact that you have to think about it is concerning. There's no way. Cincinnati's on fire right now.
I don't disagree that Cincinnati is coming on. I'm not arguing with you on that at all. I'm saying I think that you're discounting the Ravens a little bit. A Ravens team that did lose to Jacksonville. All right, that was a pretty bad loss. And they did beat the Broncos 10-9. But again, without Lamar. But that's a Ravens team that was beating everybody else. Now, they did slow down, and Bengals are getting better. But to say they're not even a contender in the AFC? They're one of the 4 top teams in the AFC right now. It's the Bills at 9-3, the Chiefs at 9-3, the Finns at 8-4, the Bengals at 8-4, and the Ravens. It's the top 5 teams if you include Miami. And Miami's going to have to win me back over. That loss this weekend was abominable. Lamar being lost by the Ravens may cost them a home game in the playoffs and a lot of momentum moving there. Now that we have hit, let me turn left for a second here. And I'm asking Lonzo this, but also you guys this. Now that we have hit the college football waiting season, right? Look, a week until bowl games. Then we got basically 2.5 weeks of bowl games that, can we be honest, don't matter. Right? Like they matter to you, your school, your coach, your team, your players, whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, the bowl games don't matter. Do we start, Lonzo? Do we start giving more NFL time? Or and I know we're in a college football market. Daddy ain't stupid. I know we're in a college football market. But do the bowl games get more talk than the NFL does on this show moving forward?
No. Plus, we've already been labeled something that's not true.
I ain't worried about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they don't get NFL here, where are they going to get it? Just think of it that way.
Fair enough. Respect that. All right. 844 fan phone, 844.
I mean, it ain't like we have an NFL show or something and don't want to talk NFL. It ain't like something like that. We do have a podcast. Absolutely, we do, for the Carolina Panthers, and we are both big NFL fans, and we both have said that we're NFL first. And I'm not worried about strongly worded letter.
All right.
Or email.
I'm curious. Every now and then I do you're the program director question. Do you guys rather talk bowl games or NFL? Genuine, just polling the audience. I will tell you lovingly, it's not going to change what I decide to talk about. It's just curiosity. Would you guys rather talk bowl games or NFL over the next 3 weeks? Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. By the way, for those of you that were looking for it, Emily Adams is out this week. She will rejoin us next week. Obviously, took the vacation break last week. She's out this week. So Emily Adams will be back next week. Rashad Beard will be back tomorrow. as regularly scheduled now that we have hit the midway point between Christmas and Thanksgiving. We'll get back on our regular schedule, so Rashad will join us tomorrow. Let's take a break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I mean, there's some people out there who would rather hear about LSU versus Purdue or Mississippi State versus Illinois. Ooh. UCLA versus Pitt. Now that's an exciting game to talk about. Ole Miss versus Texas Tech.
The Lane train is a rolling.
Wait a minute, I found one. Buffalo versus Georgia Southern. Sorry, James. Rob might be excited about that, but I've said all along, I'm not a baseball guy. So I'm not going to pretend like I am for the radio. I've actually been criticized for saying I'm not a fan of something. Should I come on here and be dishonest and act like, yeah, I know I'm on a sports show, I should be a fan of all things? I'm not. I'm not against the sport. I'm just not a fan of it. Like Rob seems to be against lacrosse. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not a fan of lacrosse, but I'm not against it. You about to start a fight, Kevin.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Salesman. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Salesman. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
Hey, it's Boomer Esiason, and we all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
From the Ingalls Market Studio.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Sunday triple headers, Monday and Thursday night football. You get it all on one station. The Fan Upstate. 97.7 Greenville, 97.1 Spartanburg, and on the free Odyssey app. The NFL plays on the Fan Upstate. It's the NFL on Sports USA, and we're in the Empire State as the New York Jets fly into Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Jets are running a high-flying offense with Moore, Mims, and rookie Garrett Wilson. Allen and the Bills get tough running out of Singletary and the deep routes from Diggs.
Allen, play action, throw, slant, over the middle, touchdown. Stephon Diggs.
It's the Jets at the Bills.
Sunday afternoon, the NFL plays here. Upstate.
More than the real sports talk, the real sports talk.
Wrapping up this hour of the Rob Brown Show, Rob and Lonzo and you. Genuine question. Over the next 3 weeks, before we get to the college football playoffs, because obviously that is going to dominate about a week's worth of conversation. 3 or so days going into the playoffs, the week between the playoffs and the Natty, and then probably the 3 or 4 days after the Natty. Between here and the college football playoffs, would you prefer NFL talk or college bowl talk? And here's why I'm asking. I had a conversation on yesterday on Twitter. My man Dave Schultz from WNSP down in Mobile. You guys know him. We've had him on the show many, many times. Dave's, a great college football guy to talk to. Dave and my colleague, my partner in crime, Mark Ryan, were having a conversation on Twitter about bowl games, right? Mark had a take that said the NCAA should move the transfer portal that opens on December 5th. He said, if you want to try to convince college football fans that the college football postseason has meaning, you should move the transfer window so that kids can't transfer out and teams can play the bowl games with their full rosters, right?
That's a great point.
It's not, though, because if I know I'm going in the portal, I'm just sitting out of the bowl game anyway, right? Like, I know I'm leaving. Why the hell am I going to work?
Yeah, but are you going to announce why you're sitting out?
Doesn't matter. I can still say I intend to transfer. I'm putting in paperwork on day one, so therefore I'll be sitting out the bowl game, right?
So put out a rule that you can't say that you intend to transfer until the window's open.
It doesn't matter whether I say it or not.
It does.
I know I'm transferring. I know paperwork's hitting on December 5th or December 31st or January 10th or whatever. I know the paperwork's going in. I know I'm gone, so I'm just going to sit out.
By the way, whether that window is moved or not, it's not going to make certain bowl games relevant anyway.
Correct. You want to make the bowl games relevant? I'll tell you how you incentivize the bowl games to make them relevant. You ready? And those of you watching on stream, watch Alonzo's face want to say it. Every player on the winning team gets $15,000. Every loser gets $7,500.
Hey, they're getting paid already anyway, so stop with that scholar athlete stuff. Incentive is money, especially for those kids on teams who are not getting NIL deals.
I'm telling you, and that's what I'm talking about. The left guard may not have an NIL deal, but if you tell that cat, if your team wins, you get a check scratched from the corporate partner for $15K, and if your team loses, you get a check scratched for $7.5K. Watch how many guys now play that might otherwise opt out. That's it.
Unless they for sure,
the guy's going to transfer no matter what.
They're also the guys who are sitting out because they're getting ready for the NFL.
Correct.
That's not going to affect them.
That's not going to affect them at all. But it will affect everybody else, right? If I'm looking at transferring schools, if I'm looking at jumping from, who's LSU got? Who'd you say? Purdue?
Uh-huh.
LSU, Purdue. There's a matchup everybody's invested in, right?
Yeah, but it's SEC versus Big Ten. Who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah. If I'm a kid at Purdue and I'm looking at transferring, right? Playing LSU in what bowl is that? The Poinsettia Bowl?
I was going to say, I already put the list down.
Who cares?
I was bored by it, so.
If I'm looking at playing LSU, just playing a game against LSU, all right, like cool. But If you tell me if I beat LSU, I get a check for $15,000. Now all of a sudden I got a reason to bust my behind in practice. Now I got a reason to play, right? $15K. And if I lose, I get $7.5K. It's still worth it to me. And make that number whatever you want to make it. Don't make it like $500. Like, that's nothing. You make it a $15K, $7.5K. Make it $20K to $10K, $25K to $13K, or whatever, $12.5K. You put a couple of digits with a K behind it for one team that wins and half that amount for a team that loses. Now you've incentivized the bowl game. Now you've made the bowl game two teams that are competing for something. But I don't think anybody is going to take a risk to their career, especially if they're looking at transferring, so that they have the honor of calling themselves the 2022 Aloha Bowl champion. It used to be a big deal about what came in the swag bag. Everybody gets some Beats by Dre. Stick a $12K to the winner. Stick a $15K to the winner, a $20K to the winner per player. And now tell me that bowl game doesn't have some guys in it that are trying to win the damn game. The bowl games are already irrelevant. You want to incentivize them? There's one easy way to do it. And it puts all the burden on the sponsors, right? Sponsors got to come up with an extra, what, $300,000 to sponsor a game? They'll do it. And you're going to cut out a lot of these small-time meaningless bowls that none of y'all watch anyway. Just some thoughts. Take your response to that. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Ugh.
Hardly the first break.
10-4.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? About what? Okay, I'll let him know. We don't do math real well around here. So we don't. All right. Thank you. Bye. Believe that was Melinda who was saying that your math is off. Is actually like $850,000 a sponsor would have to pay because 15 to each player and how many players are on the roster. And
I never claimed to be good at math.
I know, which is what I just said. I'm sure they have wonderful conversations on that show. On occasion, if we're not speaking, it's because I'm doing stuff,
Correct.
and Rob doesn't want to disturb me while I'm doing stuff because you know all these screens you can't see them, but there's like 4 plus the phone. No, actually, there's 6 plus the phone. I'm doing stuff on almost all of them. So
Lonzo's busy.
so there's that. Sometimes I'm busy.
And by the way, the reason I don't interact is because sometimes I get messages sent like this one. Like, Kevin, you see, here's the problem is that, like, cool. That's an emotional take. So what? Right? You know what this, here, let me give you an example of a conversation because I need one to point out what I mean here. Every single day, every single season when the NFL fires up, we get a call or a text or an email or a tweet from somebody who calls into the show to say NFL games are too expensive. I can't take my family, right? I can't take my family to an NFL game. They're too expensive. Why are they so expensive? And the answer is because the NFL doesn't give a damn if you can take your kids to a game. The only thing they care about is, are there butts in every seat and are the TV sets turned on? And the answer to that is, if you can't take your kids to a game, somebody will take theirs, right? Tune into any NBA game and watch who sits on the seats. There will always be like 10 to 12 9-year-olds that are courtside at an NBA game. The NBA doesn't care that you can't take your kids as long as somebody does take theirs and you're still watching on TV. The bowl games, they may matter to you like, oh, I get to sit at home and watch my son watch football. Like, that's awesome. The NCAA doesn't care about that. The TV sponsors don't care about that. All they care about is, are somebody at the games and are they making money on TV? The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. We are collectively very happy to be on the radio. Some of y'all decided to come at me over my last segment there, where I said, if you would like to incentivize the bowl games, if you would like the bowl games to be more competitive, if you would really like the bowl games to matter, here's an easy solution to it. Stick some money on the tag, right? Stick some money on it. Nothing raises the stakes like cash or having to wear a dress if you lose a bet. That'll raise the stakes sometimes. Nothing is going to get these kids to make these bowl games worth fighting for like sticking a K on the end of it, right? And I threw out just to have them an amount, throw $15K to the winner, throw $7.5K to the losers. But whatever money you want to make, 10-5, 20-10, I don't know what the exact amount. I don't know where the line is for a kid to go, yeah, even though it's worth that much money, that's not enough money. If a kid's looking to transfer and he's got a chance to go win one game and stick $15K or $10K in his pocket, that might be worth sticking around playing the bowl game for, right? Does it matter for a dude like Jaheim Bell that is an NFL draft pick down the line? Probably not, right? Jaheim Bell's going to get drafted in the National Football League no matter where he's playing his football next year. And if he gets drafted to the league, his rookie contract signing bonus is going to be worth $15K or more. If he's drafted late in the draft, it'll be worth that much. Those guys you're not going to get to play. And because of the fact that they're not playing, that's how I know the bowl games, frankly, don't really matter, right? So, I mean, they matter a little bit for pride, right? If you're Clemson and you go beat Tennessee in the Orange Bowl, yeah, you guys next year are going to open the season with reigning, defending, undisputed Orange Bowl champions. Do you know who cares about the Orange Bowl championship? Nobody except the team that wins it. Hey, Lonzo, who won the Orange Bowl last year? Thank you.
Penn State.
Maybe. Hey, Texter, who's mad at me right now for saying all this? Who won the Peach Bowl last year? Who won the Poinsettia Bowl last year? Who won the Pinstripe Bowl last year? Who won the Bahamas Bowl? Who won the Gator Bowl? Who won the Citrus Bowl? Who won the Cotton Bowl? Who won the Liberty Bowl?
I'm waiting for you to say the Duke's Mayo Bowl because I know the answer to that.
Correct. It's the only one I'm not saying. The only people who remember who won the Duke's Mayo Bowl last year are South Carolina fans and about half the North Carolina fans.
And Clemson fans.
And Clemson fans, because we've been making Duke's Mayo joke for the better part of 11 months now off of it. Hashtag worth it. The point is, the bowl games are already irrelevant. They are, despite you telling me that they're relevant, they're irrelevant to you too. You don't care. Again, name me the winner of any bowl that wasn't your team's. Most of y'all can't do it.
There are some people out there who can do it, but they're like those stat geeks.
That's just people with like really good memories.
Yeah.
They don't care. They just can't forget things. There was a dude when I was on the radio down in Florida who could tell you the winner of every Super Bowl. You should be like Super Bowl 13. And he could tell you the winner, the final score, and the MVP of every Super Bowl. And I was like, either you have a superpower memory or way too much time on your hands, one or the other.
Hey, you know what? Whatever you're into, I guess.
I'm not judging the guy for it.
And that guy has purpose in life.
Yeah. Yeah, every time the NFL forgot who won a Super Bowl, they can call Steve from Navarre.
There you go. Way to go, Steve.
Anyway. Texter says, better solution, dress for the bowl game or you are ineligible to transfer. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what happens with that. You put in a rule that you have to dress for the bowl game or you're ineligible to transfer, and you're going to have kids who just dress and stand on the sideline and refuse to go in. And then you're going to have to make the rule, dress and play in the bowl game or you're ineligible to transfer. And then you're going to have a kid pop an ACL. Now he can't go anywhere. Now he's stuck there so that you could what? Really enjoy the Rose Bowl? We watch the bowl games because they're on. The regular season is meaningful. But let's be honest. As you guys get to the end of college football's regular season, right? As you guys get to the end of college football's regular season, you stop watching the teams that are out of the playoffs race. You stop watching them.
Unless they're your team.
Unless they're your team, you stop watching them, right? You get to a point where the only games you watch are your team and the teams that are in the playoff hunt. That's just how it works. There's nothing wrong with a game being largely irrelevant. I don't understand why college football fans get so offended by people saying the bowl games are irrelevant. Like, They are. So what? If you enjoy watching it, watch it. And if you don't, don't. But if you want to incentivize it, if you want to make college football's postseason important when it's not right now, toss some Ks at the winner and toss half as many Ks at the losers. Give the left guard an opportunity to pad his bank account and buy some new Jordans after the game by going out there and busting his ass for 3 weeks of practice and winning the Rose Bowl or the Liberty Bowl or whatever. But outside of that, like, what are you looking for? You can't force these games to matter to kids. You just can't do it. No, like, how many kids are going to play in the Liberty Bowl and it's a defining moment of their college football career? Lonzo, what's going to matter to an Ohio State Buckeye player? Beating Michigan in the regular season or beating USC in the Rose Bowl?
Beating Michigan.
Yeah, a regular season game. I'm not saying beating USC in the Rose Bowl won't matter to these kids, but if you are a kid who's once out of Ohio State because you went there and then you realize, oh, I just got replaced by a 5-star recruit, I'm never going to play, then the Rose Bowl doesn't mean a damn to you.
Well, they don't have to worry about the Rose Bowl this year because, well,
you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the
you
playoff.
know what I mean.
Yeah, unless the Rose Bowl is part, it's not part of this year. I don't
Correct.
think.
So again, you want these games to matter, you pay the kids. If you don't, they're not going to matter. Sorry. You just got to live with it. That just is what it is. Florida versus Oregon State in the Las Vegas Bowl. That is Saturday, December 17th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Zoe, you putting your plans on hold to watch Florida, Oregon State?
No, but I would say if you're a real fan, you're flying out to watch that game, though.
Yeah, I would go to the Vegas Bowl. Team in it or not. But for the record, you're not going to the Vegas Bowl. You're going to Las Vegas, and you're using that as an excuse.
Don't turn my crack into a reason to vacation. That was specific, and you just ruined it.
Let's see. Let's take a look at some other bowls. Let's see which one of these ones that you guys are aroused for. Gasparilla Bowl, Wake Forest versus Missouri. Who's hype? Birmingham has Coastal Carolina versus ECU. Anybody packing the van to go to the Birmingham Bowl with me? That's only a couple hours away. Holiday Bowl, Oregon versus UNC. That's a top 15 team in Oregon versus the little team that couldn't in North Carolina. Who's hype? For December 28th, 8 p.m. kickoff following the Liberty Bowl of Kansas and Arkansas.
I was going to say a weird thing usually happens.
LFG!
Weird thing happens in bowls, though. The ACC is sometimes dominant because the other team just doesn't want to be there and they're playing the ACC. And it makes it look like they're stronger than what they are, but everyone knows the truth.
Cheez-It Bowl, Oklahoma and Florida State. I'm just waiting to see if Alonzo was going to say anything there. You look like you were going to and then decided to pull it back.
I can't be disparaging towards Cheez-Its at all. I
do like some Cheez-Its.
Yeah. Different flavors.
Cheez-It
really
Duos, the duo bags where they have like 2 flavors in one box.
Yeah, it's a surprise, and it's a good surprise every time.
Bacon and cheddar is a goat snack. Bacon and cheddar Cheez-Its Duos.
You know, the question is, what 2 teams did you say were playing? Because all I heard was Cheez-Its.
Correct. Alonzo got more excited about the sponsor than the bowl. That would be Brent Venables' 6-6 Oklahoma versus Mike Norvell's 9-3 Florida State.
Wait. Oklahoma is usually in the playoff, aren't they? What happened?
Oops. Here, I'll give you one. This game in like week 9 of the regular season would be a must watch. Number 21 Texas versus number 12 Washington. Big 12 versus Pac-12. If that game's in week 3, week 4 of the regular season, we're all watching it. It's in the Alamo Bowl, December 29th at 9 p.m. Y'all don't care.
Make sure you remember it.
Yeah. Put it on your Google Calendar.
You didn't get it. That's fine.
Yes, remember the Alamo Bowl. Got it.
You have to explain it. It's not. Yeah. Anyway.
The Gator Bowl. Number 19, Notre Dame. Number 20, South Carolina. Obviously, going to have a little hype in this area.
Worried about this one.
It's going to be a good game, even with Notre Dame playing a backup, not transfer quarterback, because their starting quarterback, Bryce Pine, hit the transfer portal. So you got Spencer Rattler, transfer incoming to South Carolina, versus not Bryce Pine, transfer outgoing from Notre Dame. And when it's all over, either Notre Dame is going to win this game, and the Irish fans are going to celebrate the TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl, or South Carolina is going to win this game and celebrate, and Notre Dame's going to go, well, you wouldn't have beat us if we had our starting quarterback, but he transferred. Does Bryce Pine transfer if there's a $20K check attached to winning this game? Maybe not.
Depends on if the NIL money's bigger where he's going.
Sure. And it's all part of it. It's all part of it. Orange Bowl this year, Tennessee, Clemson. By the way, is that the most literal named bowl of all time?
Wow. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
All I thought about was how both these teams lost to South Carolina. But yeah, you're right.
Alabama, Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. Before we get to the big ones.
The ones that people will be watching, the ones that people really care about. People
Rose
as a
Bowl.
collective.
Penn State versus Utah. That's a top 10 matchup. You know why any of y'all will watch the Rose Bowl?
The parade.
And because it's the last bowl game. Outside of the Natty, it's the last bowl game. Texter said, so what about the players that play in the playoffs? They'll have to get paid too. I doubt you're going to have a hard time coming up with that money. You give the players 2% of the TV contracts, and they'll be fat happy.
They ain't going to give them that much money.
Correct. Sure. Right. You're saying, did you say that like you think that's a gotcha? I agree with that.
No, I'm saying that like that's very.
No, I'm talking to the texter.
I was going to say the other stuff is realistic. The percentage of they're not doing that.
Texter said, so what about the players that play in the playoffs? They'll have to get paid too. Okay. In fact, 2 of those teams' players are going to get paid twice, right? I'll pay them for the Natty too. That Natty title is throwing around hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate sponsorship. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Toss a mill at the players. Watch how different that game becomes. Right? Watch how different that game becomes. But what about tennis players, Rob? No. When the NCAA's tennis championships are having millions of dollars thrown at it, we'll have that conversation. I'm talking about the things that actually are. All right, let's take a break. You want to make the bowl games relevant, throw money at the winners and losers, and recognize that they don't matter outside of your entertainment. And just like with everything else, at the end of the day, your entertainment doesn't really matter as long as you're watching. All right. What do you want to talk about, Lonzo? What should we talk about next? You got anything?
You obviously can tell I need to go to the restroom, and you're just prolonging this.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Right back, stream.
Nacho fries. I actually like nacho fries.
Same.
Although they got a new thing like nacho fries nachos, I think it is. Looks interesting. Will not look the same as it does on TV, but you know.
I know what I want to get to here. For years, one of the chief complaints about the National Basketball Association has been that by and large, and primarily for superstars, the rules have not been enforced the way that they are for rank and file players. And that even for rank and file players, the NBA has a tendency to be lax in favor of games that have been getting more and more frequently up into the 120, 130, 140 points column in regular time play. How about this? Back in November of this year, the NBA sent a memo to its teams back in like November 1st of this year. There was a memo sent to the NBA and to every individual player that warned players that the NBA was going to crack down on discontinued dribbles. That is the carrying rule. The carrying rule in the NBA is very simple. When you are dribbling the basketball, your hand cannot go underneath it or be used to carry it from one side of your body to the other. So if you're dribbling on the right side of your body and you go to crossover and you put your hand under the ball and then pick it up and move it over to the left hand, that would be a carry. Your hand must stay on top of the basketball when you are dribbling the basketball. The NBA said, hey, look, this rule has been there for a very long time, and now we are going to start enforcing it. Well, this may shock you, but they have been doing that. The NBA officials have been calling carries.
How many times has Steph been called?
Hilarious that you should ask that question, Lonzo, because yesterday evening, as I was perusing the sites looking for show prep for today, I came across an NBC Sports article entitled, NBA could have a problem on its hands with inconsistent carrying calls. I was like, all right. You know, I'm intrigued that they are starting to call carries. So I click on it and I open it. And wouldn't you know, what's the audio play video that they have and who was the chief complainer that generated this content for the internet? But wouldn't you know it, it's a video of Steph Curry.
Mr. Binky.
I was like, oh, Lonzo is going to have a field day with this one.
Admittedly, I didn't see this. That was just a complete guess, but he's the person who comes to mind when I think of that.
Nailed it, I believe is what the kids say. The article is written by Dalton Johnson. He writes, and this may also shock you, Lonzo, out of San Francisco, very near where Steph Curry plays basketball. Here's how he opened the article. Subsection D of Section 2 and Rule 10 of the NBA's official rulebook might as well have been spit, chewed, and thrown out many, many years ago. It revolves around the league's carrying rule, the latest head scratcher to the referee's shift in focus this season. End quote. Dude, the carrying rule is very simple. You can't put your hand underneath the basketball in order to shift its position. That's the rule. That's quite literally the rule.
Yeah, but that's subjective. I mean, was his hand really under the ball? I don't know. From this angle, I couldn't tell.
The rule is literally a player who is dribbling may not put any part of his hand under the ball and carry it from one point to another or bring it to a pause and then continue to dribble again. That's the rule. It's pretty simple. Steph Curry, you'll remember about a week ago, Lonzo, was bringing the ball down the floor for a final possession. I want to say against the Pacers, if I recall correctly, was bringing the ball down the floor and got called for a carry that I was watching this game, right? I sit in the bro cave at night. I've got 2 TVs, a laptop, and a phone, and usually I have games going on, pretty much all of them. I'm watching this game, and I hear, oh, you can't call that at this point in the game. I was like, what? So I looked to see what was happening. It was on the laptop. It was the Golden State game. Steph, with a handful of seconds left in the game, got called for a carry. It took away what might have been a game-winning possession for the Warriors.
So really quickly, at what time of the day of the game does it stop being okay to call something that's a rule?
Know. By the way, for the record, and this is not just an NBA problem, I was watching on Monday night the Saints-Bucks game, and I put it on the Peyton and Eli version of the broadcast, right? Because I enjoy the simulcast. And
wow, even when it's your own team.
Even when it's on my own team. And that's the first time I've done it. But I enjoy the Peyton and Eli version of the broadcast. And on top of that, the lady friend was watching the game with me, and the lady friend enjoys Peyton and Eli. So she's like, she'll watch more. She'll pay more attention with that. So anyway, I'm watching that broadcast. 16 seconds left on the clock. Tom Brady throws a touchdown, and it gets called back for holding on the offense. And Peyton goes, you can't call that at this point in the game. I'm like, dude, the defensive tackle just tackled Cam Jordan. Yes, that's a holding, whether there's 1 second or 3 hours left in the game. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let me get out of what I'm talking about here. I hate the phrase, you can't call that at that point of the game. The hell you can't. It's a foul. Anyway, Steph on Monday evening got called for a carry in a pivotal moment of the game again. Steph was coming down the floor. It's late in the game. The Warriors are in a game against the Pacers. Steph gets hit with the carry. They asked him after the game about the carry. Like, did you think that was a carry? Steph said, quote, that's a good question, because what is the true definition of it? What are the ones that are pretty egregious that some traditionally, I guess, they let go, and now they're trying to crack down on it, and now it might sway a little bit overboard to some that are kind of iffy. Well, I watched that game. And the spot where Steph got called for a carry was most definitively a carry. He, with a 102-100 score line in favor of the Pacers, there's 4 minutes left to go in the game. Steph is 1v1 over in front of the fans next to the Warriors bench. Steph goes for a crossover move. Steph dribbles between his legs from right to left, gets the ball into his left hand, and when it gets there, Lonzo, he puts his hand under the ball, turns it over, redirects it to go back between the legs. Steph got that call against him and was in a state of shock. And I saw that play, And then I saw Dalton Johnson's tweet, you know, the guy who wrote the article we're talking about. I saw Dalton Johnson's tweet where Dalton said, should this be called a carry now? And my answer was, yeah, because he carried.
Yeah, your description of that was a carry. Yes.
Yeah. My guy, he carried. Texas said that first call came from the Golden State Dallas game. That was it. The most recent one was the Pacers. The initial call he was mad about was a Golden State Dallas game. Good call, Texter. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Steph said, I really didn't think that mine was a carry. Usually when you carry and you get away with it, there's a reaction. Usually when you get called for it, like, yeah, I did that. When I had the reaction, it was like, I didn't know what I did wrong. Big moment in the game when you're trying to fight your way back into it.
Wait. Reaction by who?
By Steph. Apparently it's only a carry if you carry and then go, oh, my bad, I carried. Apparently it's the NBA is going to self-regulate carrying according to Steph.
So it's only a crime if you admit to it.
I don't know. I don't know. And for the record, refs are still going to miss carry calls because the NBA's fast, man. These offensive players are ridiculous fast. It's just like holding in the NFL. It's the old saying, holding happens on every play. The refs catch the egregious ones, right? There's a lot of carrying in an NBA game, but it's going to happen. Go back to November 1st. The Warriors lost 116-109 to the Miami Heat. Jordan Poole, in the heat of that game, was called for carrying 3 times in that game. Steve Kerr asked about it and said that he agreed with the law of the rule. He said, quote, it is a carry. What Jordan does is a carry, but the whole league's been doing it. I guess I got to start checking my email on game days. Dudes, Steve. I like Steve Kerr. I like the Warriors, except Draymond. I don't mind the Warriors. I like Jordan Poole. But Steve, if everybody on your team is carrying when they dribble, that's bad. That's bad coaching.
Yeah, it's your fault.
That's on you.
You're the one that's supposed to saying, "Hey, the league is cracking down on this year. Stop doing it."
He said it is a carry. What Jordan does is a carry. Steve, you could have stopped the freaking quote right there, my dude. Everything you say after that is irrelevant. Yeah, I robbed the bank, but no, dude, nothing else matters. No matter what you say after this, doesn't matter. You just acknowledge that what he's doing is against. Now, is it on the NBA? Sure. It is on the NBA that it took them until 2022 to go, maybe we should enforce the rules that are on the books. You know, the rule book. Maybe we should enforce the rules that are in the rule book. Because yes, for not doing it for a very, very long time, NBA players did get a little bit used to being lax. I'm going to tell you, you want to know what the biggest boat show in the NBA is going to be, Zoe? When they decide to start fully enforcing traveling rules on the way to the basket. When they decide to start enforcing traveling rules on the way to the basket, the NBA will melt down for a week because there's going to be 175 traveling calls per game. It is on the NBA for finally deciding in November of 2022 to, call the rules that are in their real book. But they have. That is the rule. It's always been a rule, and it needs to get handled. Draymond Green said in a quote that literally none of you care about, quote, If you're going to call that, you better call that because every guard in the NBA carries a lot. Some of the best ball handlers in the NBA carry often. So if it's a point of emphasis, then let's see it. But I'm not sure how many I've seen all year. And to see 3-in-1 game on one guy, it's a point of emphasis. Great. But let's see it then. Well, I don't know what to tell you when your own coach, Draymond, your own coach came out after that game and said, yeah, we do that a lot. That's a thing that happens like a lot. I've seen a carry call on Luka. I saw a carry call on Jose Alvarado for the Pelicans the other night. I was watching them. Winners of 6 of the left 7, by the way, Lonzo, and now in sole possession of second place in the NBA West. Love to see it. By the way, the Lakers have won 8 of their last 11. 10-13 now. Talk about climbing out of a hole.
Yeah, but they just lost to Cleveland.
They did.
Night.
Anthony Davis had, 55 the other night? He got back into shape. We'll see. At some point, Russ is going to get mad that he's not getting enough attention, and he'll melt down again. Can't wait for that. Anyway, after the game Monday, Steph said, I'm sure that stuff will work itself out. It's not something I'm thinking about when I'm out there. You just play basketball because you know how to play, learn, know how to dribble, but you just hope they get them all right. Dude, they did. They did get them all right. They did get them all right. You're just mad that they got them right. Because as you yourself said it, you've done it for so long and gotten away with it. Now you're not. But my man, if you are a GOAT, then adapt. If you are a Mount Rushmore player, then adapt. I don't know. I found it funny. I like Steph. Zoe doesn't. I like Steph. I got no problem with Steph. And I even have some level of sympathy for Steph because he's not wrong. The NBA allowed this to happen for a very long time. And then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, no, not that anymore. But Steph.
Yeah, but they were allowed to do it, so I should be allowed to do it too. That's the sound of his binky.
Why do I hate when you say binky?
Because that's what it is. It's a pacifier.
No. I just hate the term binky. Why do I have such a reaction to the word binky?
Because it has to do with babies and children, and we know you don't like those. So
no, because I have the same reaction when full-grown men call their wife wifey. I have the same reaction.
First of all, that's weird.
So is you saying binky.
Binky is a term. It's been used by a lot of people, especially here in the South.
So is wifey. It doesn't mean
so.
I like
Should
it.
I say passy? Is that better for you?
Mm-hmm. It's just a weird word to hear you say. I don't know why.
Good. It points. It's a point of emphasis, even
the word
more
binky
so.
aggravates me like Steph Curry aggravates you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Steph, they've been calling it for a month, my dude. They have been calling it for a month. It has been a carrying call your whole life, and they have been genuinely calling for it for a month. So, that's how you do that basketball. My guy. I don't know. I enjoyed it. All right. Let's see.
It's just a matter of time before he carries the ball and it gets called and he gets mad and he throws his binky into the crowd again.
You would. All right. Texas says, Rob, I played like 4 minutes yesterday, played like 4 minutes yesterday, left sick, SMH, it hurt them. Steph or Russ?
No, 80.
Oh, Anthony Davis. Got
Yeah,
it.
he had like the flu.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not watch the Lakers play last night.
Which is they're blaming because he's been playing so well. Him getting sick yesterday cost him the game supposedly.
Well, I mean, it starts to lean pretty heavy on him after he went 55 a few days back.
Yeah, that'll make you do that.
Yeah. I did not watch any basketball last night. I did Christmas shopping with the lady friend and then played Warzone. The new Warzone, I finally jumped on last night.
Did you play or did you just lose a lot?
Oh,
Which
I
is kind of
suck.
the same thing. Okay. All right.
I blamed it on it was the first time. Like, the game's been out like 3 weeks now, and everybody's been playing it. And last night was my first time playing in a month.
So, of course, you're going to get owned by everybody on
Yeah,
there who
so my thing was
understands.
like everybody's leveled up, and everybody's got the meta, and everybody's got the new guns, and I suck.
Well, it's a true show of skill coming in late to prove your prowess in the game. To come
Yeah,
in,
no.
all right, you guys all think you got this. I'm going to come in here and show you how it's done.
I jumped in a game with Kevin. I got smoked in about 3 minutes. I got bought back. I landed on a mine and died again. I told them, I was like, don't buy me back. I don't deserve to come back. I'll wait for the next game. We finished that game. And by finish, I mean, I watched Kevin and Brett play for about 9 minutes and then was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out.
Wow, you bailed on the team?
No, everybody was going to bed.
Okay.
And I was going to jump on with the guys from the Riot, but then I'm like, no, they won a game and I don't want to bring them down like that.
Is Kevin any good?
No.
Come on. Okay. All right.
He's better than me,
Okay.
but being better than me is not a high bar.
But
me tell you how bad I
perseverance,
am.
you guys still play. Good for you.
Let me tell you how bad I am. We had a dude, Zoe, that popped in here, used to watch the stream with us all the time.
Tayshaun?
Yeah. And I don't know if he still pops in, but doesn't say anything, but he used to watch the show all the time. And he was like, yo, I got you, dude. I'll get you some dubs. Get on my team. I'll get you some dubs. I jumped on his team with him, I think 3 or 4 nights. We got 0 dubs. And now all the time I see Scorpion MF is online and 0 invites to play Warzone anymore. That's how bad I am. Dude's good.
Wow.
Like, dude cooks.
Tayshaun couldn't even help you.
Yeah. Dude cooks. And he's like, I got you. We'll get you a dub. Never did. And now doesn't even invite me to play anymore because I am a weight. All right, let's see. Texas said, Zoe couldn't be more right. Have you seen Steph chew on that mouthpiece? That is what you call a binky. Texas said, instead of carrying the ball, just take an extra step since they don't call traveling. Yeah, wait till they start calling traveling letter of the law. The NBA is going to melt down. Texas said, Lakers game was within 2 points in the fourth. Then Donovan Mitchell went off and the Cavs won by 15. The Lakers really missed Anthony Davis. Look, LeBron's on that team. The Lakers go as AD goes. That's becoming more and more obvious. Texter says LeBum James should be the poster child for carrying. Look, man, like I said, I'm not mad at the guys who have utilized it to their advantage, but it is what it is. Texter said the Warriors call reminded me of when I was a youth soccer referee. You'd hear refs say they would not blow the whistle when time ran off if a team was winning. It goes on from there. Texas said, correction, he got called for a travel against Dallas when he pulled up for a game-winning 3 instead of taking the easy layup to tie. It's Steph. Those are the shots he made a career off of. All right, I got one more text I want to read when we come back about the college football bowl game stuff and then Twitter trending topics to call it a day. Robin Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
What do they call pacifiers in Florida? It's not set up for a joke. I'm just actually asking what they call them.
I just, like I said, I've heard the term before. It's and I don't know if it's weird because it's coming from you or hearing a full-grown man use the word binky is weird. It just is.
Good. Maybe drop Steph a line and say, hey, man, quit doing that. So Lonzo doesn't
My
say
producer
that
stops using the
anymore.
word binky.
Not your producer.
You're not?
Executive producer.
Sorry. So my executive producer stopped saying the
So
word
those-
binky.
No, my denotes possession. And there's no, you don't know me. Rob Brown, you don't know me. I don't say my host.
You could. It wouldn't bother me.
No, because that sounds weird. It sounds like there's symbiotes going on. or something.
Symbionts?
Symbiotes. You know, like Venom
Oh, gotcha.
or like a virus. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that I would think Liberob, the woke warrior, wouldn't like terms that seem, you know, possessive in some way or something like
I call
that.
Courtney my girlfriend. She calls me her boyfriend. There's a difference between a relationship, personal or professional, versus not that.
Someone else used to call me that a lot.
Gotcha. So you're not really mad with me about it.
No, I'm not. I'm not. You just pointed out how you don't like it when I say the word binky. I thought it was Festivus for a second.
Airing of grievances. Day
I was
one.
ready to go. It's the only one I have. When is Festivus exactly? I don't remember the exact date of Festivus.
It's not a date. It's
It's a season.
yeah.
Just keep watching and see when Biggie.
Christmas for Festivus this year begins on December 23rd.
Ah, okay. All right.
It's December 23rd every year.
I got time to get a Festivus.
I, for
t-shirt.
one, celebrate Festivus.
I can wear that on the 23rd.
It's
I'll
not-
be,
you
I'll be
can't-
here. You won't be.
You can't get a Festivus t-shirt unless you are installing a Festivus pole. That is cultural appropriation from you, sir.
Yeah, I don't care though.
I will not stand for you
You won't be here, so I
appropriating.
don't care. I mean, you'll be
my
here. You'll just be at
culture.
home. It won't be on video anyway. Although I would post that.
I shan't stand for you.
You shan't?
benefiting.
I shall not.
That will be the first grievance aired.
He won't stand for baloney. All right, I'm gonna come back with music because you wanted to talk about that, but you gotta do
Yeah.
it quick because I'm gonna hit it. Let's just let you know.
Texture says, Rob, your solution to the college football problem of transfers and sit-outs is exactly the reason why it's happening. Money. Throwing money at players for NIL has worked out really great for college football, hasn't it? It's a money grab, and it needs to stop. Do you not understand? Every level of college football is a money grab. You just only have a problem with the players, right? You're not mad at college coaches being paid more for longer than ever before, despite not succeeding more. You don't have a problem with athletic directors being paid more than ever before. You don't have a problem with TV execs being paid more than ever before. You don't have a problem with the cost of everything in college football going up more than ever before. You have a problem with none of those things being money grabs. Your problem exclusively kicks in when the guys who play college football get a slice of it. I want you to evaluate why.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Oscar-worthy performance there from Rob Brown.
It's not a performance. That is as genuine as it gets. If you don't care that Matt Rule just got $50-60 million for 9 years, despite his failures at Carolina, but you're mad that I suggest we throw a college kid $10,000, then you need to evaluate why.
I don't care that Matt Rowe made all that money. Groceries are expensive right now. Man's got to eat. All right, the
Look
first,
at me,
the first thing that's
I
trendy,
drank a banana smoothie so that I wouldn't eat McDonald's on the way home.
allegedly. The first thing that's trending is Circuit City.
So Twitter has taken us back to 1996 for some reason. I did see the other day, and I don't know if it's related to this, but I did see the other day that in Vegas, someone has put up a Blockbuster Video pop-up bar where instead of renting movies, they have drinks that are titled after movies. And if you want to order a drink, Lonzo, you go into what is an exact mock-up of an old Blockbuster. You pull the movie off the wall that represents the drink you want. You bring it back to the bar, and the bartender makes your drink based on that video. And they have old classic movies playing at the bar and whatnot, but it's a mock-up of an old Blockbuster Video, and people are spending like $25 a cocktail just to go sit in a mock-up of an old Blockbuster.
All right, the reason why it's trending is someone brought up one of those things. What is the store that you miss? And Circuit City's on that list.
Circuit City was great.
By the way, when the Circuit City closed down the road from here, we were there to buy cheap stuff, and coming out of the store was one Mr. Consequences Creed, also known as Austin Creed, also known as Xavier Woods.
Really?
Yes.
Of all the places that you would have told me
Remember,
you ran into
he went
Xavier
to.
Woods.
I didn't run into him. I saw him from the car. I wasn't going to talk to him. He wasn't who he is now, but he was in TNA at the time. Remember, he went to Furman.
Yep.
So, I mean,
of all the places that you would have told me you ran into the future Xavier Woods, that is the least surprising.
when a swole dude comes out of Circuit City holding bags of video games, it's got to be him.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that.
All right, the last thing that's trending is OBJ.
So Odell visited with the Cowboys, and now it is expected that he will end up joining either the Cowboys or the Bills. I don't know, man.
He's not joining anybody. He's still hurt.
Yeah, that's the big concern is the Cowboys gave him a physical, and allegedly he did not do well. Oh, that's not great for him. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, that's it. Thank you for watching. We are back tomorrow. Rashad Beard will be back on the show tomorrow. We'll talk some Carolina Panthers with him. Speaking of, Views from Mint Street podcast will be dropping this afternoon as well. So make sure you pick that up wherever podcasts are found. Zoe, Rob, you. See you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, guys, we appreciate y'all. You're amazing human beings, most of you. Some of you aren't. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day. Goodbye.